Hello Sunshine and welcome to Sunshine in My Code. My name is Subahudimu Matlapeng, and in today's video we're going to be doing something a little bit more fun than usual. We're going to be drawing the comparisons between Money Heist and the characters in an early stage startup. Money Heist is a Netflix original series about a group of people who come together with different skill sets, and their goal is to pull off the biggest heist of all time and print $2.2 billion at the Royal Mint of Spain. To do this, the professor, who is the mastermind behind this whole plan, has brought together a group of people with different skill sets, and they work together to make it work. So what are their skill sets, and how are these skill sets similar to the skill sets required in a tech startup? Stay tuned. And while you're still tuned, remember to hit the subscribe button if you haven't yet. And if you had, thank you so much for supporting my content. I truly appreciate it. There are certain important things to remember through this operation, and one is that their goal is to get inside the Royal Mint without anyone knowing that they're printing money, and to buy as much time as they can to print money. The more time they can buy without the cops knowing that they're printing money, the more time they have to print money, and thus can print $2.2 billion. So, who has the professor brought together to do this, and what are their varying skill sets? The operations team are people who are essentially the muscles of the whole thing. They are the ones who, if there's any physical work that needs to be done, they will be the ones to do it. Are there anything that needs to be delivered? Is there anything that needs to be packaged and brought to your customers? This is a team that will do it. And in this case, we're looking at Oslo and Helsinki. Oslo and Helsinki are essentially the muscles of the operations. They're the only ones who actually look like robbers and probably do a much better job at scaring off and intimidating the hostages. Second in command, and will remind you at every point, and that is Berlin, who is essentially the COO of the operation. Berlin does an incredible job of making sure that everyone's always doing what they're supposed to do, how they're supposed to be doing it. He also maintains a scaringly cool calm throughout the show, assuring everyone that the plan is going right, even if the plan is clearly not going right, and tries to align everyone with what the professor wants. Although, because of his own personal faults, he does tend to deviate and do his own thing. Objectively speaking, he is good at making sure that everyone does their job, and eventually makes the final sacrifice to make sure that the show is in fact a success. But like I mentioned, he has a lot of character flaws. I am going to try to be as objective as I can about our chaos engineer, Tokyo. Tokyo's role is essentially that of someone who is essentially very calm and decisive under pressure. But outside of pressure, that's where you kind of see the problem, right? So chaos engineers are engineers who are notorious for functioning really well at early stages of a startup, where there's chaos and everything's falling apart. That's where they become clear. They love and thrive in that startup environment of complete uncertainty. However, this is not the engineer who's going to go into maintenance mode and maintain your code for a long time. You see this really well because at every shootout, Tokyo is the one who's always got a brilliant plan to escape from it, right? So during the riots, when the police had entered the Royal Mint, Tokyo was able to quickly think on her feet and realize that the police may have shields, but their feet are exposed. If we shoot their feet, we can take them out. So it's in these little moments where you see where she really thrives. However, whenever there's peace, she's the one creating the chaos. My absolutely favorite, Nairobi, who plays the role of a CTO to perfection. She's incredibly passionate about her work. She's dedicated, has an upbeat energy that just makes you enjoy watching her, and loves printing money. Like, I didn't know that could be an actual passion, but she takes the role quite seriously, and she treats people with respect, right? So even though the hostages who are in charge of printing the money were working the longest hours, she treated them with the most absolute respect, and the person who was in charge of printing money at the Royal Mint actually said he may have been a hostage, but Nairobi was still an exceptional job. I actually contemplated if Nairobi should be the COO, but she did actually take over, and she kind of crashed because she wasn't good at leading people and aligning them unless there's an actual technical job to execute, which is, I think, makes the CTO and the COO very different, right? So the COO is able to function in that uncertainty of we don't really know what the expectation of this role is. When the uncertainty is a technical operation, the CTO flourishes, but when the uncertainty is people and just general human admin, the CTO kind of struggles, and Nairobi shows this quite well when she tries to take over from Berlin and kind of fails within a few hours. The DevOps engineers in your startup are responsible for ensuring that new features are deployed to your users as efficiently as possible. Moscow is responsible for physically digging the tunnel that has to help the team escape. And if money is a feature, he's building the pipeline to get money from the Royal Mint to their escape. Moscow also enjoys and prefers to work alone, which is a stereotypical trait of a DevOps engineer. Denver is the intern. He joins the team because, his dad joined, so he's kind of just floating around. He doesn't offer a specific skill set in the beginning, but he is well versed in the art of crime. He can hold a gun, but outside of that, he doesn't really have a specific role within the team. This gives him lots of room to interact with other people and learn from other people. He's also got a great personality, so he has an idea of each person's role. In the end, Moscow ends up becoming the DevOps engineer, which kind of shows how in times of need, interns can sometimes step up to the plate and do the role that no one realizes, right? So when the DevOps engineer goes missing, when they die, no one thinks to fill that role until Denver did, very quickly and decisively ended up digging the tunnel and made sure that the team actually got out in time. What's a good startup without a star customer? This person may not have believed in your product in the beginning, but eventually they realized just how important it is and they decide to join the team. After falling in love with Denver, Monica decides that she'd rather be a part of the team that's committing the robbery than to be a hostage. She ends up ensuring that the other hostages don't escape by pretty much screwing up their escape plan. She also picks up a gun and starts shooting at the cops and helping the team escape from the police who were entering the Royal Mint. The man with the vision, the man with the idea and the plan and holds the team together, the person who is responsible for assembling the team, and that is the CEO. The CEO most times is the one with the vision and the idea and responsible for keeping the team together and bringing the team together. In times of desperation, when the plan doesn't seem to be holding on together, most of the team members will hold on to their bond with the CEO. However, the CEO isn't always there, right? So when your application goes live for the first time, your CEO's job is to do public relations, some would call it that, and also find you your investor. And Professor does this job quite well, also checks in with the team and makes sure that the team is okay and reassures them that the plan is still going ahead. What would any startup be without your angel investor? In the beginning, your angel investor may not like you. They may think you're a bunch of lazy people who don't want to do real work that the corporations often do. And you may not like this person. However, you fall in love with them, they fall in love with you, and they end up becoming the lifeline that your company needs. In the end, she's the one who convinces the other inspector not to rat out on the professor's location and buys them valuable minutes that gives them enough time to escape. Because if you remember, the cops arrive 1 minute after, literally 1 minute after they escape from their hideout. If she had not withheld information for at least 30 seconds, it may have been game over for the professor and his team. So that is it. That is my interpretation of the series Money Heist and how it can be very similar to a startup. I hope this was fun, let alone enjoyable somehow to you. And yeah, now is definitely a good time to subscribe to my channel if you have not yet subscribed. And if you have, I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next video.